I will never forget the evening that I was having a Bible study with a man, and we came to a particular passage of Scripture that went against something that this man believed very strongly. And the man pushed back from the table and he stood up and he said, "I wouldn't trade what I feel in my heart for a stack of Bibles a mile high." And he refused to study the Bible anymore. And not because he thought that I was teaching the Bible somehow incorrectly. In fact, he admitted that that was exactly what it said. But he wouldn't study anymore because it simply was not what he wanted to hear. We live in a time in which we see a cacophony of voices. Politics all around us, culture, philosophy, the media, entertainment world, all of these vie for our attention. They all want us to follow after their direction. So what do we do? When the world around us is trying to get our attention, is so loud, so persistent, so overwhelming. Listen to the words that we find in Matthew chapter 17, because here we see the answer to our question. Matthew chapter 17, verses 1 through 8, we read, "Now after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John his brother, led them up on a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus, 'Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah.' While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and suddenly a voice came out of the cloud, saying, 'This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him.' And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were greatly afraid. But Jesus came and touched them and said, 'Arise, and do not be afraid.' When they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only." Now, sometimes it's really hard for us to wrap our mind around what we're reading here. Peter and James and John saw Jesus transfigured. And they saw Moses and Elijah there with Jesus, and they were overwhelmed. I know we like to give Peter a hard time about what he said here, the way he spoke up, but would we really have done any better than Peter? There he was on system overload. Jesus was shining with that heavenly glory, and 2 heroes of the Jewish faith were there with him, speaking with him. And so Peter didn't know what to say, so he said, "Let's make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." And it was then that the voice of the Father rang in the air to point Peter to Jesus, saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him." Hear Jesus. Not Moses, not Elijah. Hear Jesus. Not all of those voices vying for your attention. Today and this week, in all of your life, hear Jesus. He is the one who can save your soul. He is the one who can make you whole. He is the one who is worth hearing. Hear Jesus. Thank you for watching this devotional. We invite you to come and worship with us anytime that you are in Albuquerque. You will find a group of people who love Jesus, who are trying to live for Him, and who are glad that you stopped in to worship with us.